Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. So as you've gone ahead and joined, all of you should see a screen that looks like this, correct?
Oh, yeah.
And so we're just going to be on this screen just for just a few moments. But part of what we're looking at today is that I sent out this workshop that we're going to talk about Nearpod and then also talk about Loom. Now, two very different applications. Nearpod is going to be really helping with that engagement in the classroom, looking at if you are lecturing, if you are doing anything like that, how do you get student engagement? And Nearpod can be part of that answer. Loom is going to be maybe part of that answer. We just did that Modern Classroom Project PD, and a question that comes to mind, how do I start recording these professional videos? And Loom is a quick extension of how you can do that. And so with that, we're going to try our first activity. So as I click this arrow, your screen should have just changed. Your screen should have just changed. Yeah, Liz.
Okay, so my question is, so when the kids join, they see what you have up there?
Yeah, they see what you have up there, and that's part of the benefits of Nearpod is that they're not just looking up here, but since we are one-to-one technology with Chromebooks, they have that. So my first question to you, think of when or if you lecture in your classroom, what would you like your students to be doing? And this is our first activity. It's a drawing activity. And so once I hit go, you're going to have a minute and 30 seconds. Think, what does that classroom, what do you want it to look like? What do you want students doing? And here we go. Don't worry, this is an art class. Not going to, there's no grade.
Okay, some of you are really good.
Just about 30 seconds, those final. We see Liz has submitted, others are still in progress.
It's hard to draw with my finger.
It is.
I know, I try to write.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But one thing I want you to think about is, as our time's coming down, I gave you no instruction on this. I didn't show you how to do this. I didn't show you this is how you go about drawing, but what was something each of you were able to do?
Draw it.
Yeah, convey what we're thinking.
You were able to convey with what you were thinking, and I did not have to teach you anything about this software to do it, or anything about, it's not software, anything about this resource to do it. And that's going to be kind of part of that benefit with Nearpod. Now, before I go on, so we're going to just look at behind the scene and what can be offered. But few things is that we see, right now I have your names are posted up. If I wanted to, I could have blocked those names.
Oh, that's cool.
I could have blocked those names. Also, one of the fun things about this, let's say, hey, we're gonna look at this one. I can also share that to your screen.
Whoa, that's so cool.
I can share that to your screen. I can easily cycle through it. I can share whichever ones I want. And so with that, this is just one simple activity that I'm going to briefly talk to you and walk you through. Yeah.
So you said on the nicknames that you can choose to disallow nicknames
I
to be
can.
selected. Now, if
you do allow nicknames to be selected. You can switch back and forth in case someone uses something inappropriate.
Sure. So like just like anything, like Nearpod has, of course, that list of inappropriate things. But if it does happen, I could kick students out. Like there's a way I can do that, and they will have to go back and rejoin. All right. So with that, as I said, this was just a quick example. I wanted you to get that feeling of an example, and especially that I haven't even talked about it, and you were able to interact. You were able to do what was asked of you. And so looking at that, moving on, kind of what I'm looking at and what we're going to be working and what I'm going to briefly show you is talk to you about what the platform has to offer. So Nearpod simply is a platform to create interactive lessons and videos. Some things it offers is access to hundreds of prepared lessons, both anywhere from K to or anywhere K-12. It enables for on-the-spot editing, adding activities, or to stop and reteach ability. One example of stop and reteach, I have a whiteboard function here. If something wasn't, if I did a quick informal formative assessment and we didn't get it, I could sit back for a little bit, go back, reteach. And now I have to figure out how to go back. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. So you have stop, reteach. It's Google Slides friendly, and it's easily able to collect student engagement data. And so with that, as I said, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to stop this lesson, and I'm going to show you that behind the scenes, what activities can be offered utilizing Nearpod. So I'm going to...
I do have a question real quick.
Yeah.
So is it possible to actually email these lessons back and forth between teachers on Nearpod so that they can look out for each other's work?
It can be, and I'll speak to that
Okay.
a little bit. Before I go, one thing you'll see is emailed reports. Let's say I had quizzes on there, formative assessments. Students are working through. Easily click email report. It's going to gather it instantaneously to show what that report was and how they scored on it. So going to simply just I'm going to log you all off, and I'm going to go back to our dashboard and show you, what does it look behind the scenes? How easy is it really to make a lesson? So with this, if you create an account, this is what you'll see. You have that. You have your reports. So anytime I email myself, or if I go and I do a lesson and end it, I'll get the reports for that lesson. And then, as I said, there's the Nearpod library with hundreds of already created lessons. And I won't spend much time there because I don't want to keep you all here longer than you want to be. So I'm going to go back to that very lesson I just had. And I'm going to edit it. Go to edit and see that, or show you kind of what's working behind the scenes. So this for me, it's only 4 slides. We had 1 activity, we have 4 content slides. But let's say we had a new one. And I know for a lot of you, your curriculum you already have PowerPoint, you have Google Slides, you have things. One easy thing that I could have done is you can drag and drop those. But one of the great benefits is you have that access to that drive. So of course, with our internet, take a few moments. But let's say I'm creating a lesson on the progressive era. I can click on that, and it will upload every single one of those slides to them. or like the Roaring 20s, or whatever we're doing. And so I mentioned that, and how about I go ahead and I just do one. Just do whatever this one is. And I upload those individual slides, and it'll take a few moments. And while it's doing that, it's going to start taking everything from my Google Drive, and it's going to bring up all of those slides here, just like the ones that have already been created. Now this will take a few moments. There we go. And there we go. I have my Google Slides already in. That took what? Less than 20 seconds to upload. With that, as I said, you might have that question, well, why am I not just on Google Slides, right? That's where stuff is. Well, that's where the activities and other kind of content comes in. And I'm not going to walk through, we don't have enough time to walk through all of these, but I'm going to show you just a couple content, and then I'm going to show you the activities. So content, some obvious ones, creating slides, just like working with Google Slides, PowerPoint. Videos, you're just embedding YouTube videos or other videos. Web content, that'll take you directly to a web page. But then we start getting some more specific ones and more exciting ones. So one of the ones could be like a simulation. Now, I know some of you are in my department, and so simulation's only for math and science. But if I go to, let's say, Science High School, and I want to do simulations on acid-base solutions, or I want to do, I'm a social studies person, so I'm reading titles. Do I understand what it means? I'd have to sit and think. But there's ways that you can show that visual simulation, maybe before you're doing a lab. Maybe you're before doing a lab, or you're reading about concepts, or you're lecturing about concepts, and there's a way that you can visually show it. You can show that. So simulation, sadly, as I said, I'm social studies, but this is math and science, and there's things that you can do there and have the students, more importantly, interact with them. It's not just you doing something on the screen, but they get to interact with it. Another one is like a VR field trip. Now this is more social studies, and this is going to give you a 360 view. Give you a 360 view of something where you get to, let's say we're talking about the pyramids, that students get to get a 360 view on their own device for that one. So that's that Nearpod VR. And then slideshow is one of the things I like, is that, let's say you're wanting a student to look at 5 slides, but you don't want to be the one to have to click through them. Well, slideshow allows them to go through as far of a set number you want them to, without you having to do it for them. And then one of the final ones that I like, and the last one, is a PDF viewer. As you really very shortly just experienced, is that you saw that on your own device, when I went forward, your device went forward. I can embed a PDF into it. Let's say my class, we're talking about the progressive era. We're going through, and there's documents I want a student to read, take 5 minutes to read. Instead of me having them go to a different website, jump onto Canvas, read this, then we're coming back to it, I can embed it in. And they can read it, they don't have to leave Nearpod for them. And so those are just brief examples. As I said, for time's sake, we don't have the time to really look at those. But some of the content, in addition just to your normal slides. But where it gets really exciting is activities. And you got to experience just one, which was the Draw It. We experienced that Draw It activity. So, with these activities, when you download that report, you get the report back of what students were able to do. So ones that I use quite often, let's say the open-ended question. And I go here, I want to create an open-ended question. So I would type out this question for our time's sake. Let's say what year was women's suffrage amendment passed? And what year was women's suffrage amendment passed? So now that's just a content question, so maybe not the best for an open-ended question, but let's say I just had a students have read, we lectured, now they have a chance where they're gonna type out their answer, and that's one way you can see with engagement, our students, did they comprehend? So if this was your device, this would be it, and you would have to type that out. And the teacher, you can set a time limit or whatever you need to, and then you can gather every student and see those responses. Another one, looking at activities. Some of the more self-explanatory ones are quizzes. Those are going to be a multiple choice. And you can make 5, 10, 15 question quizzes. And as I said, after you make it, and as students go through it, you can download that data report and it'll automatically be graded for you. You can do things like collaboration boards. Collaboration boards. Do any of you use Jamboard in your class? Used it once or twice, Jamboard? Well, this is very similar. Is that a collaboration board is where students are going to be able to, your teacher's going to base a topic, and students are going to be able to fill out the collaboration board. They're going to be able to go through and they'll fill that out. And that's another way that you can see that interaction with students. And then finally, one last one I'll talk about is, would be, let's say, time to climb. Time to climb is simply just a quiz, but it's taken the game format into it, like a Kahoot or a quiz is. And students they're going to be competing against one another. So you can use that as, use it as a quiz. Could be that interactive quiz. Could be for a warm-up, for a bell ringer, for an exit ticket. But as I said, there's so much with Nearpod, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but Nearpod is that example, is that way for you as the teacher to help engage, or to have a gauge of engagement, to pull quick, informal, formative assessments, to see what are students picking up on, what are they missing. Do I need to go back to that whiteboard function and be like, hey, this is a reteachable moment? And so, for me, I personally use Nearpod as that engagement strategy for when I do lectures. And so I don't do lectures a lot, but anytime I do, I'm wanting to use Nearpod because I'm not wanting students to have that glazed over look.
Can I ask,
Sure.
Is it free?
It is free. I use the free function, and that's a great question, because that is the question. Anything that sounds like this, what's the catch? What's the catch? Here's the catch. Nearpod free, so sadly Nearpod last year was free to educators. You could have all the premium functions, you could have all that. And that was during COVID. And so what they've now done for the free is that you are allowed to have a library that's up to 100 megabytes. And so that could be like, Most of mine all of mine are under 10. You're seeing some 7, some 8 megabyte. And so what does that mean is probably you're gonna have you could have up to like 20. That's the free version. The good thing with the free version is that anything on the Nearpod library is accessible. You can use that. I'm a social studies person, so I can go to social studies. I can scroll down, let's define it even more. Let's do high school, higher ed. And I could go, oh, yeah, we're talking about the Cold War era. I could take a Nearpod lesson. I could adapt it, edit it, do whatever I want to. But that's the catch.
Okay.
The free version, you get 100 megabytes. Now you can create as many as you want to, and you can delete as many as you want to. As is the free one is at 100, and so that's that catch.
How much does it cost if you get like their full version?
Oh, I think their first step is like 120 a year.
Okay.
And then the big thing I know what they do is they push for schools, for a school to buy, and I don't know that pricing, but
So this could be a future foundation.
it could be,
request.
or it could be a request of a department or something like that. If this is something, it could be what the school buys, and then you don't have to worry about,
Okay.
oh, I can only have maybe about 20 presentations. No, you can have as many as you want, but that's that catch.
Okay.
All right, so with that, that's Nearpod. Let's talk about Loom. Loom is that other, so we're going to transition. As I said, is that, so Nearpod's that engagement. Loom is really directly with that question of, the school, the district is wanting to kind of move into that modern classroom project. I did that, but what's one way I can start making those instructional videos? What's a way I can do that? And Loom's that answer. Loom, here's the good thing. We talked about pricing. Loom is free. And the premium features are free to teachers. So there's a step you have to do for verification, but it's free. Loom is a simple, instead of you having to download a program, it's a simple online video recording. Chrome, it can be a Chrome extension, you don't have to use Chrome, but it's really simple. So let's say I'm on Nearpod and I wanted to do this virtually, or we couldn't do this PD today, so I'm going to do it virtually. I could have simply clicked my icon, gone to sadly, I'll show you. You can record your screen and you can have your camera. That's what this big C is. So students actually see your face. My current webcams aren't working for some reason, so for this demonstration, we'll just do screen only. I can be like, hey, we're going to do this window. And we're recording. Hi, welcome. Today's going to be your Nearpod, or I'm going to introduce you to Nearpod 101. With that, I would finish recording, and once I finish my recording, it's going to take me to my recording, and I can easily grab that link to share. With Loom, one of the things I like about Loom, I'll go to my library, is that I specifically right now use Loom for subplans. I don't like it when students ask me, Mr. Anderson, you were gone yesterday. What were we supposed to do? You had an instructional video on Canvas where I spent the time. So, recording's pretty simple. When you go to record a video, it's going to ask you, do you want to record your whole screen? Do you want to record just a specific application like I just did? And with that, as I said, if I was doing this Nearpod one, I can simply click the link icon. I can copy that link and I can send it in an email. The good thing is I did not have to download, and the receiver does not have to download. Anyone watching the video does not have to have an account to Loom. It'll just take them here where they can watch this video. If they want to, they can leave comments. They can react to your video. But here's the final thing I'd like to say, Loom, and then I'll kind of close this out, is that one of the great things about Loom is that you can set it up for teams. If you're making instructional videos and you're spending a lot of time creating those videos, well, you most likely have a counterpart teacher teaching very similar things to you. And so teams, if you create one, is that you can go to a team library, and I would have to go and I would have to invite teammates, but whatever I put in the team library is easily shared with the rest of your teammates, and then anyone who has that can share it to their classes. And so that's Loom. Loom, the Modern Classroom Project suggested like Screencastify. All of those are great. Loom is just, it could be an answer for you, for your department. And so with that, that's our Nearpod. That's Nearpod, that's Loom. And so if you have any questions, absolutely, hang back, I'll talk you through it. But I want to be respectful for the rest of your time. Okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.